Last episode, we talked about PSBTs, the transaction package your wallet and signer pass around before a transaction is finalized. That raises the next question. Before the transaction is signed, how does the wallet decide which coins to spend? That is coin control. Coin control is the ability to choose which UTXOs your wallet uses as inputs for a transaction. The Bitcoin Design Guide describes coin selection as the process of choosing which UTXOs or coins to use as inputs when making an on-chain payment. That selection can be automatic, or it can be manual. Manual selection is what people usually mean when they say coin control. The beginner model is simple. Your wallet balance is not one blob. It is a set of separate pieces. Each piece is a UTXO. When you spend, the wallet chooses which pieces to use. If you let the wallet choose automatically, it may make a reasonable choice for convenience. But convenience is not the only concern. The choice can affect fees. It can affect privacy. It can affect what histories get linked together on-chain. That is why coin control matters. Here's the ordinary analogy. Imagine you have cash in different envelopes. One envelope came from work, one came from a gift, one came from a reimbursement. One is savings you do not want to touch. If you empty all the envelopes into one pile and pay from the pile, the separation disappears. Bitcoin is not exactly cash, but the lesson is close enough. Separate coins can carry separate context. Coin control is how you avoid mixing contexts blindly. Now, privacy. When a Bitcoin transaction spends multiple inputs together, outside observers can often infer that those inputs were controlled by the same spender. That is called the common input ownership heuristic. It is not perfect. It is not a law of nature. There are exceptions. But it is important enough that a beginner should understand it. If you combine coins from different contexts, you may link those contexts. An exchange withdrawal, a payment from a friend, a business receipt, a public donation, a cold storage move. If those coins are spent together, the transaction can create a connection you did not intend. This is the part that feels strange for people coming from bank accounts. In a bank account, the bank controls the ledger and the user sees a balance. The user does not normally think about which exact incoming deposit funded which outgoing payment. The interface hides that. Bitcoin is different. The blockchain does not store your wallet as one private account balance. It stores spendable outputs. Your wallet adds them up for convenience. That convenience is useful. But the underlying pieces still exist. Coin control is what lets you see the pieces instead of only the total. That is why this topic is not only for privacy obsessives. It is basic literacy about how Bitcoin spending works. Coin control gives you a chance to choose. Do I want to spend this coin? Do I want to avoid linking these two coins? Do I want this payment to reveal less about the rest of the wallet? That does not make you invisible. It does not guarantee privacy. It simply gives you a control surface. Think of it like choosing which envelope to open. If a coin came from an exchange, that coin already has a different privacy story than a coin received from a friend. If a coin came from a public donation address, that coin has a different story than one from a private savings transfer. If a coin is part of long-term cold storage, you may not want it mixed with a small everyday payment. Coin control gives the wallet user a moment to say, not that one, or these two belong together, or this payment should be funded from this context only. That is the whole point. You are not just choosing value, you are choosing history. Now, fees. Bitcoin fees are not based only on the dollar value being sent. They are affected by transaction size. A transaction with many inputs is usually larger than a transaction with one input. Larger transactions can cost more in fees when block space is expensive. So coin control can matter for fee planning too. If you have many tiny UTXOs, spending them later may require a bigger transaction. If you consolidate coins, you may reduce future input count, but you may also link histories. That is the trade-off. Here's a simple example. Imagine you need to send a payment that can be funded by one medium-sized UTXO. That transaction may be smaller than a transaction that pulls from 12 tiny UTXOs. Smaller transactions often mean lower fees. But if the one medium-sized UTXO came from a context you do not want connected to this payment, the lower fee choice may not be the better privacy choice. Now reverse it. Imagine you have 20 tiny UTXOs. Leaving them separate may preserve some context, but spending them later during a high fee period could be expensive. Combining them during a lower fee period might make future spending easier, but the consolidation transaction may link the coins together. That is not a moral rule. It is a trade-off. Coin control is the tool that lets you see the trade-off before the transaction is final. Fees and privacy often pull in different directions. There is no universal answer. That is why this episode is educational, not a recipe. The point is not always consolidate. The point is not never consolidate. The point is understand what your wallet is choosing before the signer signs. This matters especially after the PSBT episode. A PSBT can move a proposed transaction to a hardware wallet or another signer, but the proposal already contains selected inputs. By the time the signer is reviewing the transaction, some important choices may already have been made by wallet software. If you never look at inputs, you may think the only question is the destination address correct? That question matters. But it is not the only question. Another question is, which coins are funding this transaction? And another, what change is being created? And another, what histories are being linked? That does not mean every beginner has to become advanced overnight. It means the signing screen is not the entire story. This connects directly to the last few episodes. Wallet labels preserve memory. Recovery maps preserve context. PSBTs package transaction information for signing. Coin control decides which pieces of your wallet enter the package. That is the chain. Label, understand, select, review, sign. Break any one of those, and the transaction may still work technically while failing your intent. This is also why hardware wallets are not magic. A hardware wallet may show you the amount and address, but it may not explain the full history of every input. It may not know that one coin came from an exchange and another came from a public donation. It may not know that combining them is a privacy mistake for your situation. The device signs. The human supplies context. Coin control is one way the human brings context into the transaction. That sentence is the center of the episode. The wallet can calculate, the device can sign, the network can validate. But only the human knows why coins should stay separate. Only the human knows that one payment was from a friend and another was from an exchange. Only the human knows that one UTXO belongs to business records and another belongs to personal savings. Only the human knows what future explanation would be painful, confusing, or unnecessary. That context is not on the chain. It is in your records, it is in your labels, it is in your memory, and memory fades. So coin control works best when it is paired with labels. Unlabeled coin control is like having a box of envelopes with no writing on them. You can choose an envelope, but you may not know what it means. Labels give the choice meaning. Coin control turns the meaning into action. Now, beginners should not panic. You do not need to become a chain analysis expert before sending a small transaction. You do not need to manually select coins every time. You do not need to turn every payment into a research project. But you do need to know that the choice exists. The goal is informed simplicity. If your wallet handles ordinary payments automatically and you understand the trade-off, fine. If you are making a payment where privacy, records, or fees matter more, slow down. Look for the wallet's coin or UTXO view. Read the documentation. Understand what it shows before touching real money. Do not experiment with important funds under pressure. And do not post screenshots of your wallet balance, addresses, UTXOs, labels, PSBTs, or transaction details to ask strangers what to click. That is not privacy education. That is creating a new leak. Because once a transaction is broadcast, the chain remembers it. If you accidentally link coins, you cannot unbroadcast the link. You can improve future practice, but you cannot erase the old transaction. That is why coin control belongs early in the self-custody education path. Not because everyone should use advanced controls immediately, because everyone should understand the shape of the risk. Here's the clean rule. Your wallet's automatic choice optimizes for something. Maybe convenience, maybe fee efficiency, maybe a wallet-specific coin selection algorithm, but it does not automatically know your life context. It does not know which coins belong together socially. It does not know which coins should stay separate. It does not know what future you will regret linking. Coin control is how you inspect and choose instead of outsourcing the entire decision. Again, no magic, no guarantee, just better awareness. For a beginner, the practical takeaway is not a transaction recipe. It is a mental model. Bitcoin spending is input selection plus output creation. The send amount is not the whole story. The coin selected to fund the send matter. The change output matters. The history linked by the inputs matters. And the human has to understand enough to review what the wallet is about to do. That is coin control. not a power user trophy, a reminder that Bitcoin is not an account balance. It is a set of spendable pieces. And when you spend, you choose which pieces speak. Next episode, we take this into UTXO consolidation, when combining coins can help, when it can hurt, and why lower fees are not the only thing that matters.